Welcome to PC Wiz Kids Tech Talk. Today we're looking at the GTX 460 1GB version of the Axle 3D GeForce video card. Now this one here comes pre-overclocked from the factory, and like I mentioned, it comes with 1GB of GDDR5. It's a 256-bit interface card, and it's chilled by the Arctic cooling. So we're going to look at that more closely. Now this one being the AC edition, like I said, comes pre-overclocked, 742 megahertz on the core clock, has all the latest support as you would expect from Nvidia, okay? And here is the model number. Okay, now looking at that cooling, those two 92mm fans, top of the line Arctic cooling here. This is the Twin Turbo Pro, okay? And basically underneath those two fans you're going to get the aluminum heatsink under there and 4 copper heat pipes that are going through that. Okay, so it's a very efficient design, and what I really liked about it is the anti-vibration that it has. There's hardly any noise coming out of this thing, believe it or not. And those copper heat pipes are very efficient. They go right to the base of the GPU. Good contact there, lots of airflow. You can see here the two 6-pin PCI Express connectors, high quality capacitors in construction here, and again airflow coming in through those fins, very good. And on the output side, you got 2 DVI out and 1 tiny little mini HDMI out. I'm not a fan of that. Okay, I'd rather have a regular HDMI instead of a mini. And your SLI support right there if you want to have 2 of these bad boys installed. Now, looking a closer look at those fans, as I mentioned, they're very quiet, very efficient. Love them. Okay, definitely like the cooling on this, and that's a trademark here that I see happening with Axle 3D. They come out with great cooling on their products. Here's the test system that I'll be installing this card and testing it on. So top of the line Intel system here for this card. It's more than enough, of course, and you definitely can run this card with a 500 watt power supply, no problem. Now, looking at CPU-Z and GPU-Z and testing, here are the specs. Okay, like I said, 256-bit. Here's the bandwidth, here's the memory, and of course all of the other specs, the ROPs, the shaders, the pixel fill rate, all of that there for your information. There's the driver version that I'm using, and of course the default clock speeds that it comes at. It's actually 742.5, and it rounded it off to 743 in GPU-Z. And here you can see all the latest support for this 40nm architecture GPU. Now, running it on idle, you can see that it's super low. The temperature's at 27 degrees Celsius, and my room temperature is about 23 degrees Celsius, so really good results here, considering that the fan is running at 40%, that I can hardly hear it. If I run this card at full load and overclocked, it's no more than 50 degrees Celsius, so really terrific results in this machine. Now here I've overclocked the card even further from the default 10% overclock that it came with. Alright, so I gave it a huge boost of performance by increasing the GPU clock to 841 and the memory as well. And you can see here that the temperature went up to 34 degrees Celsius on idle. Okay, roughly there you can see about 5 to 6 degrees Celsius higher depending on your overclock. Now, when looking at the benchmarks, I always start off with 3D Mark Vantage. There's the GPU score, because I like to get the GPU scores and compare those GPU scores with other scores that I got when I installed video cards in this same machine. So here are the scores, and here is where they reside basically. If you were to compare all these other cards, this is really beating everything in its class. Okay, so when we look at its class, definitely comes on par with the 5850. Very close together. Benchmarks here, you can see terrific results at the default 10% overclock that it comes with, and then my overclocked upgrade on top that I did. Huge performance increase, minimal heat increase, like I mentioned, and definitely great results. You don't even have to overclock the card any further. Play it right out of the box as is, and it's giving you terrific frames per second at that default clock. So no need to even overclock it further unless you want to go crazy. So really good results on all kinds of games. Of course, Crysis is going to give it a run for its money, right? But still, pretty good results as you can see on these two resolutions. maxed out enthusiast settings. I mean, not too many people play it on that high, but if you want, it can do it. And here again on the Heaven Benchmark 2.0, you can see the different results that I'm getting on that DirectX 11 benchmark scores. Okay, so terrific results on this card. Obviously, I have to say that the potential for overclocking is terrific. Okay, so you're not limited there, and also the cooling is amazing. Obviously, those two fans, the Twin Turbo Pro is awesome, and what else can I say? I mean, the results are pretty obvious. It has all the latest support, CUDA physics, DirectX 11, HDMI support is the only thing that bothered me, that mini HDMI connector. Instead of using a standard HDMI plug, it's a smaller one, so you have to get a different type of plug for that, so I didn't like that part. I wish they just used a regular HDMI plug, but everything else, terrific. Okay, and I definitely recommend it just for that. So I'd like to thank Axel for providing it, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.